Hi everyone, we're at PAX East. My name is Albert and we're showing off our game. It doesn't have a title right now, but we'll keep you posted. My game is a first-person puzzle game. You escape from a dream and an experiment gone wrong. You use a mechanic based on forced perspective. The idea is that things are just as large or just as small as you see them. The player's main objective is to escape from this dream. At first, they think they're just having a very lucid dream, but as it goes on, you realize that there's a weird experiment going on in the background. As you slowly go through the game, the truth slowly uncovers. You know, there's different sides to it. One side is other games that I really admire, right? Like Anti-Chamber, like Portal, games that make you think outside the box. The other side is really just optical illusions in real life. A lot of times you see something that you think is one way, but then you bend around the corner and it's totally different. And that kind of experience is so whimsical and so interesting that we're trying to make that into the game. Non-game influences include a lot of movies about dreams. So, you know, there's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, there's Paprika, there's a whole bunch of, I could give you a whole, you know, laundry list of things that we were inspired by. I don't have too much of background. This is my first large commercial game. Before I did a bunch of contract work. I was a student for a while, made a bunch of small free games. There was one that was released on the Ouya that doesn't exist anymore. There was a Unity banking app that, you know, we tried that was canceled at some point. So a bunch of odds and bits. I grew up playing a lot of Nintendo 64 games. So one of my favorite, you know, is Paper Mario, because it's a Mario game, but it's also absurd and weird, right? Afterwards, you know, I played games like Portal, and I fell in love with that, Shadow of the Colossus, all the great classics. Portal, Shadow of the Colossus, FTL, Anti-Chamber, Stanley Parable, Dota, has, you know, somewhere up there. Paper Mario is up there. Portal 2 is somewhere in that vicinity. Did I say Stanley Parable yet? And of course, Undertale. We have 5.5 people on the team. The half is our Australian composer who works on the game half the time, so 5.5. So I first started working on this maybe, I guess, 5 years ago. At first it was just a small kind of student project that I spent less than 2 weeks on. And then after a while, I spent, you know, 3 or 4 weeks on it. The more time I put in, the more interesting the concept began. So, you know, just throughout the years, I've slowly added on to it, and we're finally at a point where we have a team of 5.5 people. And we think the game is going to ship maybe, you know, end of this year or beginning of next year. We built the game in Unity, and we're using C# to do most of the scripting. You know, of course, Photoshop, Maya, 3D Max. I'm sure our artists use some weird modeling software just to mock things up sometimes. I don't know what they're called. We use Slack for most of our team communication, and for document stuff, we use both Google Drive for sharing documents and also Dropbox for sharing assets. And besides that, for source control, we use GitHub with the source tree client. So, yeah. I mean, I spent maybe, you know, on and off about 5 years so far making this game. It's been difficult in different types of ways, right? One is just mechanically, we're dealing with something that's really unique and new, so we have to figure out how it makes sense to other people. So in that sense, we need to do a lot of work. Another part is just puzzle games are hard, because puzzle games are about finding something interesting and unique that you can teach other people, and also presenting it in a way that makes sense. So both those things together make this game relatively hard to make. Yeah, in making this game, I've learned how difficult it is to make a game and how difficult it is to, communicate weird ideas to other people and have them do work similar to what you're doing, because when you're in a team, communication is so important, and making the game is to be on the same page at first, and then you can start building. That foundation is super important. I've also learned that being okay with making weird creative decisions is fine, and sometimes you just have to go on a limb and do weird stuff. If anything, our game is trying to make a statement about, being okay with being wrong, because there's a lot of things that in real life seem to you one way, but as you figure it out, it turns out to be something totally different. Yes, but a lot of it, you'll have to wait until you play the game to find out. This is my first time showing something at PAX, and I'm really surprised how a lot of people are really into these games. They've either seen the game or if they heard about it somewhere and they want to talk to people about it. They know the devs are at the booth, and they will approach you and say, hey, this game is so cool, right? And that's an experience that isn't very common in a lot of places where you show your game publicly. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you want to follow the game along, either check out our Steam page or go to our website, pillowcastlegames.com. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you next PAX.